Well, how you going, guys? So welcome back to video B79. I think I've got enough footage to make 78. So I've in this one I've made this. I'm not 100% sure because I've sort of got myself a bit. I forgot to make some ends and intros, and I haven't done any video editing in the last 24 hours, so I'm not quite sure where I'm at. I've got the wide stuff set up to go for this video. So I set this up last night about 2 o'clock-ish, I guess, or yesterday, late yesterday afternoon, or mid-afternoon yesterday afternoon. So yeah, that was probably set up about 2 o'clock. So it's not cured enough, as you can see. What I'll do is I'll pull it when this is gone hard. This is still tacky, like the extra residue. Some of it's hard, some of it's not. So when that top stuff's gone off, fortunately we've got some sun today. So yeah, I've got the doors open. Hopefully we'll get some reasonable heat, and that'll help this go off fairly nicely. And then I'll get this wide bow made. But what I'm going to go on with now, because I've got all these tapered tubes made, and I've got this one bow here ready to go. This one here, this is pretty much ready to go. It's sat here and cured more overnight type thing. All these doors open, that's the biggest problem. It's plays havoc with the light. But yeah, this is all basically ready to go. I gave it a quick clean up yesterday, in between just doing other stuff, because just to break things up so I'm not doing the same thing repetitively for all day long, if you know what I mean. Just so, like, because when I was out making those tapered tubes and stuff, you know, you get kicked in that position. So I did this, and then I chopped down some timber and bits and pieces just to, so you're not standing in one position all bloody day doing one job. But I enjoy the crap out of this stuff. It's really, it's enjoyable, it's fulfilling, like I love it, eh? But anyway, trying to work these things out and make things and just fix panels, and just, you know, when you've made something or fixed something, it's really enjoyable. Anyway, so we'll get this a lot more cleaned up. This here should be, righty, so where did I get there before? I had a phone call. So yeah, got this all cleaned up, got the tapered tubes all made. So this one here is, well, it will be either this one, I think, or this one. Doesn't really matter which one. I think I'll go for this one first, get this made, so when I've done the other big wide one, we can get that made, and I'll see this fitting. I forgot to get bolts, so I might do that shortly. Or at lunchtime, I'll try and remind myself to go get some bolts that are 4.5 inches long. Bugger it. Anyway, so you'll get this made, because this wooden bow comes into down here, and then the tube starts there, which we'll explain a couple of times. I think, yeah, this one. So this here will be like, we're looking pretty good. I think that's going to work out nicely, and then obviously got the piece of metal bar come out here to pick up on this. That's worked out pretty nice actually. This is the first time I've actually sat one in the car. So yeah, I think that sits quite nice. So just that little bit closer, you know, almost a couple fingerwoods. We can breed it a little bit anyway, but I think that's quite nice. It's quite nice. I like that. I think that'll work quite nicely. It doesn't need to be out as wide as it was, but it's a good width without being, you know, too close, without being too wide to make it look weird, if you know what I mean. So the top's not really splayed out. I think that'll work quite nicely. So by the time you get that back out here, it's going to be sitting, you know, it's quite a wee way out from the body when it comes back to this back piece. So it'll look pretty much spot on. And the front one is just slightly narrower well, that one. So you can see how badly that's let go. Just with even sitting there even longer. So yeah, that glue, unfortunately, this liquid nail sort of type stuff just isn't the right thing for this application. This sort of stuff, it might have been too cold. This is sort of like a liquid nails construction adhesive. You know, it's obviously designed for timber, but it, yeah, obviously wasn't the right thing. Hopefully this is better. This Gorilla wood glue. It says suitable for interior use only. I've seen on that and since. So what we might do, when I get things a bit more prepared, I might get a few rattle cans of just automotive clear, and just once we've got them all sanded and sprayed up and ready to fit, you know, test fitted in the taper tubes and all that sort of stuff, we might rattle can them just with some clear, just to seal these up. And I think that will solve that problem. I think that would work, just in case the moisture gets in and lets the glue go. If I just give it a couple of real light coats of that to sort of seal it, and maybe another heavy coat, just like it probably doesn't need to be anything really expensive, but just something half decent in a rattle can, just to seal this up once we've got them right. And that should stop the moisture getting into the glue and letting it go and causing problems down the track. So yeah, like it has got the canvas top and everything on it too, covering over all that sort of stuff, but the moisture probably still would get into it if you're out in the rain a lot. But it's not as though it's going to be one of those vehicles you're going to drive in the crappy weather, but you might get caught in it occasionally. So that's cool. Yep, righty. I might actually go get some bolts, I think, and I might tap this first, get some bolts, and at least then I actually might be able to sit this back up on here with the proper thing through, and then as I make these beams here, I'll be able to replace them. You know, make one, replace it, make one, replace it as I go, and then I can see if things are still fitting right and working right. I've actually got to weld up that corner of that piece because it broke off. That's why that clamps on there, and I've got to finish those brackets, but that's all, it's different steps. But as you can see, this is a lot more complicated than just quickly hacking up some tube and putting it together. It's a lot more detail on this. And the other thing too is I've got to work out what I'm going to do here to hold these brackets onto the tapered tube, because I think they're riveted on, but I just don't know whether I should weld them onto the tubes when I make those brackets or not. And obviously this has got to come up. I'm going to lift this up a little bit so it's a little bit higher. Obviously this corner is too low. It needs to be up about here somewhere before it rolls away or starts rolling away. But yeah, cool. Get back to you shortly. Right, before I go get the bolts, I'm going to drill holes in the body. So yeah, I had a quick measure up some bolts that are about the same size head, because they're 3/4 or 19mm roughly, and most of the bolts that are around here that are that size are like 1/2 inch or 12mm, depending on whatever you're using. So I'm going to start off with a smaller hole, obviously, and drill through nice and square and see where that pokes through. So I think it's going to come through with that steel bracket on the other side. And then, yeah, we'll have to work something else out from there on. It is going to come straight through that wood. I know it. It's just a matter of where it comes through on that bracket or not. So I'm going to push that through, because it's got to be done. There's no avoiding it. So then we can obviously we can put a bolt through here and put that up or whatever if we want to, you know. And then we can fit the proper things as we go. So I'll get that done. Well, I think this works out pretty well. There's the hole in that bracket from the outside of the body. I think that works pretty well. So I think what I'll do is I'll get rid of this piece. I'll make a steel bracket that goes right across out to here, and we'll weld it into this one, and that'll help stiffen this up, because this is probably enough, but the original thing looks like it's got quite a big bracket on here. From the one photo that I've found that I've been sort of waiting for more confirmation on, but I haven't got it yet, so it's called just bite the bullet and do it. So I'll drill that hole. Hopefully we have the same result. I think we should. We'll soon find out. Push me, lad. Send. Straight. Looks like a similar sort of place. Might have been pointing slightly uphill with that one, but we're going to put a bigger drill through it, so won't matter much. But yeah, we'll call that a win. So that was just the first hole. Now I'll go get the bolts and we can open out to whatever size we need. But I think that's with like a 7mm drill bit through there, which would be close to 5, sort of 16. It was just the first reasonable size drill I found without going stupid big, because it's probably going to be out to 1/2 inch or something like that, so, which is like 13mm. So yeah, I've got the holes in there. We can just add from that, and yeah. So we want a bolt about 5.5 or about 5 inches long, and then I will have to turn up a nice little coned spacer that fits between here and the bracket. I'll just use a piece of bit of conduit or something just in the meantime, until we work out exactly what we want to make, and then I'll get a nice little tapered cone thing made up to fit it. Okay, mint. We're there. Right, hopefully you can see that alright. Looks alright in the camera. So I've put the bolts through the body. I've got a couple of 5-inch bolts. They might be slightly long, but I think by the time we make a little space in here, you have the nut wound right up. Then you cut that off, and we'll get a nice dome nut. That's the right size to fit on here. These are the right size nuts. That's on the original one in Australia. It's a 3/4 or 19mm. 1/2 dozen the other, if you know what I mean. Say if we can get a nice chrome or nickel plated dome nut or something like that, and then make up a nice little small coned piece from here, go between this and the bracket, or the bow we got made. We can work those details out afterwards. We're on the way from misery to happiness today. Shut up! So the next thing I'm doing here is I've trimmed the bow off and the bandsaw, get rid of the excess that I don't need. Hence that bit. So I'm actually squeezing, putting these in the vise with this here facing one jaw. So this will be the inside edge of the vehicle, and they have the nicer side poking out. That's just how it was made in the vehicle, like you can see all the joins on the inside. So I'm actually squeezing this in, so it's about the same width as what this is with the 9 layers. And then I will shape the rest of this to match this tube where it goes in. Obviously it'll be about that size where it goes over the top, with just some nice rounded over edges, just with a nice radius on them. And then yeah, the rest will be tapered back to fit into down here. So in 6 inches basically, or 150 mils. That's what I think that should be in there, and that should give it plenty of guts. Like that bow shouldn't break off. If it was only in there a little bit, it's probably bound to break off, but if it's in here that far, 6 inches, that should be plenty, because otherwise I'm tapering the crap out of it, getting it way back into there. So I'm just flattening this off so it's more ovally shaped. I think that'll work nicely. So I just basically stick that in the vise as much as I need to. That's actually the same width as what that it needs to be. And I'm just squashing that down, and obviously the rest will just conform and hold its nice shape how it should be. And I think that will look nice and fine, and yeah, it shouldn't be, it's still like you're never going to be in that. You're going to have to be, like, it's going to have to be really, really rough to be in that. So now I'll squeeze this one in, and I'll just match it with this. So it's pretty simple. A little bit more, and then let it come back. Spot on, perfect. So they're both ready to go. Easy as. So now I'm just going to shape the bow to fit these ends in. And that's that done, and then we can obviously start working out the brackets to pick up the other 2 pieces to go forward. And I'll start playing with the bit of bar that comes out of here for the joint, but I won't finalise it and weld it in, because we end up having to probably do a couple of decent plug welds in here and welding it in, and I'll weld it around the end probably a couple of times and just blend that in so it's all one piece, so it looks like one thing. It just means it'll be solid up to here, and I'll run it up in here a wee way and try and join it in the best I can. But I should be able to get a couple of decent, if I drill some holes through here, at least I'll get a couple of decent plug welds through into it, and that'll secure it, and obviously weld it around the end, and I think that should be fine. I could open this up again and weld that up and weld it onto the bar too, but I think we just open this up, and then maybe even like when we drill some holes into here, drill a little bit into that bar, and that'll obviously give it so it'll weld right into that bar, and then build it up out, and then grind it off and smooth it off, and when we paint it and finish it and all that sort of stuff, maybe any of the eyes of it wasn't one piece of steel. And so yeah, I'll get shaping, I guess. I think I'll trim the worst of it off with the bandsaw just to get that rough taper, and then I'll shape it with the plane and sander and die grinder, and just shape it up till it slips in there nicely, hopefully. So yeah, just to do the basics, I've got my mark on here so I know how far that goes into the wood. I'll sit that on the flat, and I'll just mark on here what I need to roughly take off, which isn't actually a lot, like it'll be need a lot rounded, but just the initial trim off isn't a massive lot, you know what I mean? It'll be a bit, but mark a nice taper on that. We'll trim that off with the bandsaw, and the rest of it should be just shaping and fitting in. And obviously round this piece off to sort of blend in to where it comes in. And we'll do the same on the other end. Flip it over. Sit that on there. On my markup. Trim that excess off, and then start rounding it off and making it fit. Back to you shortly. Right, one tapered tube fitted. So it looks pretty good. Can't wait to get the next one on, and then we can work out the, well, I probably only have to cut, you know, probably about 6 inches of steel bar off that. Just to allow for that, and we can start shaping the end of it, but just it'll be the final position where it fits in the thing. So that's cool. I haven't trimmed that end off. I actually cut it off in the bandsaw and that, but it was very awkward because I had a lot sticking way up. I might just, I don't know, shave it off with the planer or whatever. It might be just as easy, but I'm gonna have to be really careful because I slightly opened up a joint in there, so I'll pull it back and I'll put some more glue in there and let it re-glue, which is a bit of a pain. I obviously I had it sort of clamped about here in the vise, and I probably should have it more clamped on the corner, and it flexed a little bit when I was trying to pull this off at one point, and yeah, it flexed and must have just cracked, so I'll have to re-glue just one piece, put a bit of glue in there. It just opened up in one spot. It's still quite strong, but you know, I'll re-glue it. Righty, so I'm about to go to lunch. So I'm about halfway, I suppose, of getting this in down to here. That's my mark where I've got to get down to, so I've got to do a bit more shaping yet, a bit more slimming down, trimming, whatever. And get that fitting there on there nice and snug and right down to here. And then, yeah, we'll be gravy, and we can start working out these pieces, and hopefully after lunch, I might pull it not long before I go home. You know, if I can pull it about 3 or even 3:30, that other one, at least then I'll be ready for that one tomorrow. That'll give it another night to cure while it's just sitting there, if you know what I mean, but not under pressure. Yeah, and then I'll set the other one up. But yeah, by the time I've got this done and started playing around those other bits, that shouldn't be far away to be coming off, and we can keep puddling away and get these pieces done. So that's cool. So yeah, I'm happy with how this is working. I think yeah, by the time we get it all dialed in there, and it's going to be really good. It's just a matter of getting all these little bracketry pieces made and fitted and whatever, and work out how we're going to attach them, because I'm pretty sure they are riveted on there. Just have a wee final look here. I'm pretty sure these are riveted on here. I'll just have a wee nosy. I just don't know. So I'm talking about this piece here. Pretty sure that's riveted. But at the end of the day, we could weld it on there, if you know what I mean. If we have to, we have to. But yeah, we'll decide. Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure what we're going to do there, but we can still make the bracket and get it sitting on there, and even if we just tack it on there or something like that, just to see where things sit until we get a couple of things figured out and figure out how we're going to attach it, because we do have these rivets which are off a chassis, which would kind of work, if you know what I mean. They would work there, but they would kind of work. I'm just not sure, you know what I mean, whether we should just plug weld that bracket on there and just use these for the, I was thinking about maybe using these for the hinge pins, because they're about the same size what these bolts are, so that works out pretty nice anyway. So we could use those for, yeah, the pivot points, because I can't imagine they would be bolted, but we'll use these bolts in the meantime until we, you know, get the last little details figured. Right, just come back from lunch and just having another wee look around this. Hopefully, there was quite a lot of excess residue on here, but it'd be nice to pull it today and get another one set up. Hopefully it's going to be alright when we pull it. But at least when if it's just sitting there and it's going to cure a bit more, it should be alright. I'm hoping. It's fairly solid. Anyway, I'll get shaping a bit more of this second end, getting it on a bit further, and yeah, we'll come back to you. I might film a bit of me doing it. It's like I think I said on the videos before lunch that I've got a couple of more, so 2.5 inches to get that on a bit further, so I just got to keep sanding it down till it slides on, and then we can, well, then I can concentrate on making these pieces, and obviously have it go in here at a reasonable distance. They can't go in there too far because otherwise it's just getting too big, but we can possibly squeeze it in a little bit or something like that just to get that tapered in, but we should better at least get it in here a reasonable amount and get a couple of really good plug welds in from each side, and just have obviously a bit of tubing or a bit of pipe that we can bar far out that we can shape and get ready to hook onto here, but leave it so we can move it in and out until we know the exact position once we get this built, and obviously get the tabs in there, but we can adjust and get the distance right. But so yeah, we'll get that sorted, and then I'll start making cut a bit of rod off and start shaping them up. Righty. So that's done. We'll start making the bits to go in the end. I'll just put that back up there and make sure that it is looking square and all that sort of stuff, like the tubes aren't sitting funny. Right there. Poke you over there a little bit. Somewhere like that. The wee bit of depth around it, and have a look. Right, let's have a look, see what we need in the way of material in here. So I'm thinking if we go up in there, a couple inches up in there, it should be enough in steel, shouldn't it, if we weld it in there and plug weld it in a few spots around. And we don't need to go all the way down to here. like a couple of inches out, because that'll make up for the difference obviously with the other tube being thicker and pushing it out a little bit. Either that or it'll drop it down a little if I do make it the same length. Drop that back bar down a little, which wouldn't hurt. I go 120, that'll give it 120 millimeters, which is about 4 3/4 inches thereabouts. I think that'll do. I'll have 60 in and 60 out each side. So yeah, that'll do. So I'll cut some pieces and we'll get it hot and we'll flatten her off on the end. Right. Beat the pus out of it and hopefully this will be dry shortly-ish. A couple of hours probably. Right. Yeah. I think that might be alright. It might be a little thick yet, but I can possibly just grind it down from there a little bit if I have to. But yeah, that should be pretty good, I think. A little bit of clean up, whatever. Sweet. Hopefully it'll work. Bring it with me. Hopefully I caught all that on video anyway. Alrighty guys, so I've made my two ends. You see me forging one. I just did the other one off. So yeah, it's amazing how much the steel grows when you beat the shit out of it. But it works perfectly, like, you know, that's going to go up that tube. Those tubes a nice amount and gives us plenty of adjustability. So hopefully that'll fit up now. Yep. Perfect. So there we go. I should actually be able to stick it behind these other ones, just like that. So do the same over here. Just have to clean the burrs off the end of that a little bit. A few little burrs in there from grinding and bashing and whatever. I should go up that tube now, because I've had the other one up in there. Somewhere about there. First of all, see how I could possibly, what I might do, while it's sitting there, I might actually just tack, put one tack on it, just so I know it goes. Sit on there, sit above that, just not where it is. I might do that, I might just bring the welder over and give it a wee tack, so at least then I can I know they aren't going to fall out on me if I do use it. That's cool. Absolutely awesome. That's the first one. Well, I wouldn't say it's finished, but that's the first one that far anyway. So now the next thing I need to do, I'll just have to check the time because I'm getting close to pulling that other one off. But I'll start working out how I'm going to create that. Which is cool. So this piece, this one here, this bar, will sit dead centre, and this one here actually sits on the inside of this wood, according to those photos. Pretty sure, yeah. So this one here looks like it's fairly central on that steel pipe, and this one here just sits actually on the inside of the bracket as it tweaks and sort of curls around here a little bit. It just sits on the inside of it. So a lot of this stuff will be a little further in, because that was just how it sort of worked with just tacking it on there like that, not making a real thing, but the concept is still the same. So, and then this one here will obviously pick up on the far side of that tube down here somewhere. So like, to be honest, like these tubes don't actually get much skinnier, sort of. You know, like they don't actually, they do taper in, but they're not actually a lot skinnier, because by the time I squeeze that top part in, it's actually very similar size, because I've already squeezed the width difference out of it to flatten down for the bows. So that actually works quite nice. It's actually very similar. It's actually interesting to measure it here and then down here, where sort of like this is going to be picked up on, and just see what the difference was. So that's cool, because this will be the next one that I play with, which is on gluing up now. So yeah, that will pick up in the bottom of this. By the time I squeeze that in and match that next to the bow, yeah, it won't be actually, you know, like we're not, by the time you squeeze it in, it's not going to be much different in width as what it is down here. So that's going to match up pretty nice. Again, here somewhere. It's looking really nice, eh? And really, I'm rapt with how that's looking. That's cool. It's nice to get to that point. So yeah, I might bring the old MIG over here, just wheel it over, and just give them a reasonable hot tack in here and a reasonable hot tack in there. So if we need to move it, we can move it, like it's just a matter of grinding that off and whatever. But yeah, when I do weld these in, we'll blend it in. I know you're going to have to put another slice in just to blend it in nicer, but and just bring it in a little bit and blend it all in, so you won't even know that this here wasn't really part of that. In theory, that's my plan anyway. Plans may change, but that's the plan. So I'll blend it in. That's cool. That's so stoked with that, eh? That's cool. Awesome. Can't wait to get the next ones done. Right, so it's about 3 o'clock. I'm going to pull this next bow, and hopefully it's worked okay and it's solid enough. And then I'll glue this other big one up. Hopefully tomorrow I can do the same as what I've done with that other one and get that to a certain point. So once we get stacked them all together, then we can obviously join all the dots. Let's get this apart, and yeah. Hopefully. Feels pretty good. I'll set that aside and let that finish curing till tomorrow. Stick it over here so that one. This is a big fucker, mate. Otherwise, might stick some overalls on and so I ain't covered in shit. Some gloves on and we'll get back to it. Righty, so I'm not sure how this one's going to go because I had a real fight with it. Man, that was an absolute prick to pull around the corners by myself. Like, yeah, really need a second person to do that. Like, I was struggling to push that in and then try and hang a clamp over it. one of the outside boards, the outside board here is split. It mightn't matter, but you'll see. I'll just see how it works, because I already had that end clamped up and it's such a bitch to pull around by myself. Yeah, so it's a real pain in the butt. It's either that or I pull it off and come back down here and try and reglue it later on with some help. And I sort of had to pull a clamp off the centre here, which I wouldn't mind another one in there just to try and put as many clamps in these corners as possible. So hopefully it holds, hopefully it glues up right. Yeah, it might work, it might not, this one, because it was such a prick to pull around, and I've had to put clamps up on this piece to try and get it just to hold into glue. So yeah, that bust and broke a piece out of here, and it must have been just a bit dry or something, or a bit thick, that piece, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker than the rest, but yeah, I don't know, hopefully it'll be alright, because this does have to be reasonably shaped on the back edge, so it might be alright. I might even be able to, I don't know, glue another short piece on there later on or something like that once it's dry and hard. You know, we might better just put a shorter piece in there or something like that just to try and patch it, but it's a pain in the butt, because I don't want to have to try and pull it around there again. If I had somebody here with me, I'll just pull it back off and throw one of those other boards on and pull it around again. Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Sometimes it's just, yeah, you have a fight, but yeah, you could almost do with an extra few clamps just trying to do that one. Just because man, it was freaking tough to pull around. It was all I could do to try and get it round to hook a clamp on it, and try and hold it in, and trying to get me using my other hand to try and slide the other piece along. Wasn't easy. Anyway, I think I'll call it here for night. I think it's not much. Well, there's bits and pieces I can do, but I don't think there's any panic. I've got to let that other bow dry. I'll let that dry a bit more overnight, and then we can trim that up in the morning. I might just put might throw the ratchet strap around there just in case it decides it wants to spread or anything silly. But yeah, throw that around there. At least that'll hold it tight and give it a wee bit more time to go off with a wee bit of tension on it. And then we can get making that one tomorrow. Chop it down, shorten her up and whatever, and get those other bits fitting and go from there. And I might make these brackets tomorrow, stuff like that, and amongst doing everything else. Righty guys, we'll spot you later.